Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today we have another hair related video. We're going to be talking about how to grow out a buzz cut and what I've learned from doing this 2 times. So I definitely didn't get it right the first time. So if you want to see all of those tips and tricks, stay watching. Okay guys, so I first went full bald in 2016 and I grew out my hair for nearly 2 years pretty much. And my hair grows very slowly, so that was a procedure and a half. And I'm going to tell you about what I did the first time. So the first time, I'll try and find photos here. The first time I pretty much just grew it out. I didn't really try to style it or cut it that much, especially in the early stages. So when you do have a buzz cut, as you will know if you have one at the moment, your hair is pretty much nothing. And then as the hair starts to grow, it will grow to a certain point, still kind of in a buzz fashion, sticking up, right? So it takes a little while until your hair can actually like lie flat, okay? And this is a very awkward stage when it's long but still just sticking up in every direction from your head, and your head just looks like that tiny bit bigger. Very awkward. So tip number 1, if you are in this stage right now, you can flatten your hair. What I used to do was wet my hair, so have a shower or whatever, and then push it all flat. I would kind of push it forward or whatever, and then put a beanie on over that hair until it dries, and so let it set in that position, and then you can hairspray and do whatever you want to kind of set it there. But I always find with short hair, the best way to style your hair is to set it in the position that you want it while it's wet, and somehow keep it there until it's dry. So I don't have a blow dryer, I don't dry my hair with a blow dryer, but it's just occurred to me that that might be a lot easier. If you do have one of those, I let it naturally dry, so it's just about keeping it in that position until you're ready to go. And obviously that takes a lot of time, so I'd only do that if I was going to a fancy thing and had a lot of time to get ready. So once your hair gets past that stage, it will start to lie flat, and this is a very cute stage. And still it's kind of the same length all over, and as it gets longer and longer, you've probably heard this, you will go through the mullet stage. Okay, so what that means is that the hair that starts growing here in your head, just say it grows that much, okay, it's going to be up to here. Whereas the hair that starts growing here on your head, if it grows that much, it's only going to be up to here, not here. So all of your hair won't line up until the top bit reaches the bottom bit, okay? But by the time your top hair has grown that much, imagine your bottom hair, it would be like down here, right? So that is what the mullet stage means. Hopefully that makes sense. So what is really important to do is to keep chopping the back until the top catches up. And right now in my second attempt growing out, I'm still in that stage of the top hasn't quite yet reached the bottom. I'm nearly there, okay? So I know it's going to feel counterproductive to cut your hair while you really want it to grow, but it's important that you do just the bottom, nothing else, okay? So I am a bit of a stinge when it comes to money, so I don't like spending a lot of money, and I have done it before. I've gone to the hairdresser, I've been like, hey, can you just cut the bottom bit off? I'm going through the mullet stage, and they still charge you like a full hair price cut, so it's really frustrating. So you want to find somebody that you know in your circle of friends that is going to be your hairdresser for the next, 2 years or however long it takes, depending on how quickly your hair grows. So my brother was really helpful. He always cuts my hair whenever I ask him, but I've also had friends do it even though they get really nervous. And again, my best friend is my beanie. So I even did this just the other day, like about 3 days ago. So what I do is I make sure all my hair's lying the way that I want it to be. I put on my beanie, right? And I lower it down to the point where I want the hair cut. And I say to my friend, give him a pair of scissors and just say, cut along that line of the beanie. It's a straight line for them to follow. It makes it a little bit easier. So it's kind of like a bowl cut, but instead of being like full on bowl, you can just lower that line down to where you want it. So that's a little tip on if you want to cut your own hair in this period and save some money. Okay, so the biggest thing that I have done differently second time round, okay? So the first time I started from completely bald. I just thought I can't do anything to it, especially the top, because I've just got to grow it out until the top meets the bottom. But my number one tip of having my second attempt now is to, as soon as you can, as soon as your hair is long enough, so, you know, almost straight away it will be long enough once you get a little bit of that sticky outy growth, and even once it starts to fall over, is to give it a style and grow it out from a cut style as opposed to bald. Okay, so the first time I just went complete buzz, grew it out, didn't want to touch it, and it looked very bad a lot of the time. Okay, so the second attempt, I've grown it out more from a disconnected undercut. So what that means is my sides were completely bald, the back was completely bald, but I had a little bit of hair on top. And so you can do this if you're growing it from completely bald. The second you get a little bit of growth here, I know it's going to feel counterintuitive, but go back over the sides and the back and just give it a bit of shape so you've got some extra length on top. And while this feels like it may slow down the process, it actually won't, because like we said, this top has got to grow longer than the sides, longer than the back. So all in all, it will be the same length of time for you to grow it out, but it just makes it look so much better at every single stage. So I have grown it out in so much more style the second time around, honestly, than the first time. Even now you can see, you know, these long bits are very lush because they started from a bit longer, whereas these side bits, much shorter. I don't know if you can see that, but much shorter, because that started out from nothing, from bald. So that's only that long. But these long bits up here, they started out from a bit longer, and it just makes my hair look kind of like a little bit okay, or a little bit cool, or a little bit kind of fine. Whereas before, it did not look good. Like, I will try and find pictures, but I do not have a lot of pictures of myself from this point in my life, because you understand why. Okay, so my next tip is probably one of my biggest ones, and that is to help you resist the urge to cut it again. So when you go through the awkward phases, it is so tempting to just go, no, I like short hair, like I'm just going to get rid of it all again. It's going to be so much easier than to go through this whole, you know, process of growing it out and blah, 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 blah. And I get tempted every single day. So tip number one, do not make a Pinterest board for short hair, make a Pinterest board for your long hair. Do not be looking at any pictures of cool people with short hair, because you know when you see cool people online that have that cool style and they got the short hair and you're like, yes, that's why I cut my hair, because I want to look like that. But if you want to stay strong, do not do that. Get some pictures of your goals, okay? Surround yourself with your goals. And the second point is to invest in your hair, right? If this is the one thing that you take away, invest in your hair. So when I first started growing my hair, it got to a point that was long enough that I could kind of tie it up. I spent a few dollars on hair ties. I spent a few dollars on bobby pins, right? Then I did some research and I was like, oh, like castor oil is meant to help your hair grow, right? So I spent some dollars on this castor oil stuff that I like rub in my hair before I wash it. And I'm pretty sure this does nothing, okay? Like, you can buy this if you want to buy this, any kind of castor oil, but I'm pretty sure it does nothing, and I only do it every now and then. It's not like I do it 3 times a day or anything, but I spent some dollars on that, and if I was to cut my hair again, if I was to shave it all off, I would have spent dollars on this for nothing. I would have spent dollars on those bobby pins for nothing, and I do not like to waste money, so invest in your hair. Now, I also got, because I was a little bit crazy psycho, like hair, skin, and nail tablets. So, you know, I don't know, this is just Vitabiotics, whatever brand it is, but you can get so many different types, and these were really expensive, but they're for hair, skin, and nails, and those are the 3 things that, you know, I struggle with. My hair grows very slowly, my nails very weak, and, you know, I've struggled with acne. So I didn't mind investing in these, but I spent money on these, and if I was to cut my hair off again, that would have all been for nothing, right? So the more kind of money that you can invest in your hair and in the goal and in the dream of the long hair, the more reasons you're giving yourself not to cut it, okay? The more reasons you're giving yourself to fulfill that goal. So invest in your hair. Okay, my next tip is to find as many things you can do with it as possible. So have fun with it if you're able. So, you know, I just got a hair straightener. I straighten my hair sometimes now, and that makes me feel a bit zhuzh, like, oh, I can do something with it, right? So sometimes I put it up into a little half up, half down, and even now I could almost do like a ponytail kind of shebang-a-lang with many, many pins. And it looks really cool, but it's easier if I do like 2 little pigtails because the hair doesn't have to go as far to get into each one, but it's really cool. But get yourself a headband, like experiment with accessories. If you want to be really edgy, you can do a little undercutty thing or whatever, but obviously that is you know, going to affect your regrowing process. But yeah, do whatever you can. Play with your part, you know. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm going to go a dramatic side part. Sometimes I'm going to go, oh, I'm going to do a middle part or whatever. But yeah, play and have fun with it and learn to enjoy the hair at whatever length that it is. So that kind of pretty much sums up the video. Things I've learned from my second attempt: style it as soon as you can and grow it from a style. It will not affect the length of time that it takes to grow it out. And number 2, invest in your hair and give yourself as many reasons as possible not to cut it. And with all that being said, I could totally cut it again tomorrow. I am fighting this urge so hard, so I'm trying. If you're in this stage, I know the pain. Rock on. You can do it. I believe in you.